Hello, everyone, and welcome to the W2 Amigos podcast, where we talk about passive investing, real estate, and all the money moves you can make while working your W2 so you can establish your financial freedom. Here to talk about their W2 journeys, your hosts and amigos, Nick Coulter and Xavier Marin. Nick, what's up, man? How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Our first Airbnb guest checks in to our house hack in San Diego today. So very excited. Got some stuff ready this morning. We're like downstairs in the room, so it's just kind of like anxiously waiting.
That's what's up, man. So, what's the how much is this booking for, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so for the 2 nights, I don't know how much they paid, but for the 2 nights, we're gonna net $780, and then the cleaning fee will make like $35 off the cleaning fee. So not bad for 2 nights, and it was so discounted because it was so close to booking. So this is our first one that came in, and it came in 3 days before the holiday. So excited.
That's awesome, man. And that's great that even you offer a discount to get someone in there like 3 days before that versus not having someone in there. Yeah. Kudos.
I ain't got it like that yet. Maybe one day.
Yeah, man. Speaking about Airbnb, today I got my biggest payout so far since being in this, in the Smoky Mountain. So we had someone that's staying, I think 9 to 10 days. She checked in yesterday, and that Airbnb email came out to $3,500 for our payout, which with one stay covers our mortgage, covers the power, internet, it covers a good chunk of expenses. So super pumped to see that. And then also is heading towards the end of the month. So clutch for getting that one in there.
Nice, man. So everything else is profit.
Everything else is profit.
We'd love to see it. Speaking of profit and profitability, who are we talking to today?
Today we're talking to AJ Smith. He's an investor that we met out in BPCon last month. This guy, man, is something else. He is a rock star. He's like 23 years old. He is crushing it. He's working his W2. I think he has anywhere between like 13 to 14 units already. You know, is closing on, duplexes, quads, zero money down, 10% down, really crushing the game. What'd you take away from it, Nick?
Well, it made me feel like shit, one, because he's just he's so on top of it. AJ is what I would like to believe I would have been had I discovered Bigger Pockets earlier. But I don't know if I had the discipline like him, because I was doing some dumbass stuff at 21. He is not. He's been super diligent. So yeah, it made me feel bad because he is so great, which is why you guys are going to enjoy the episode. I would say the second thing that resonated with me is he talked about how your real estate agent is your binder as an investor to all the other people you need. So that's the connector, right? That's the first link in the chain. And then your real estate agent knows a lender. They know a insurance person. They know contractors. They know subcontractors. They know general contractors. They know all these people to get you set up for success. And that if you build a strong relationship with them, you're going to build a strong relationship with everybody else, because it's all referral-based business, and your realtor is not going to refer crappy people, because then you may not want to use them again. So I'd say that was something I really enjoyed about that. And that's also why I'm a realtor, so I can connect you guys to some people. So hit me up.
Awesome. Yeah, AJ is the first person that I've met that finally made me feel old, in the sense of thinking, man, if I was that age, I wish I could have done that. I've never had that thought before. I always considered myself fairly young. So when I said that to myself, like, oh my goodness, I'm getting old, and I feel old.
I know, man. It's only going to get worse from here. Time never stops.
You're never going to be younger than you were currently at right now.
Right now. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
all right.
Yeah, let's move past the depressing part. Let's get to the concept of the episode. Death is upon us. AJ, save us.
Let's get into it. AJ, welcome to the W2 Amigos podcast. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited. Let's do it.
Dude, happy to have you. I know you and I met back in BPCon 2 months ago, and you and I got to talking, and super impressed about your story and your background, how you got started. And I know that after we were done talking, I told Nick, I'm like, man, I just met this guy named AJ. We got to get him on the podcast. So happy we're able to make this happen.
Me too, man. Yeah, I'm excited to share my story, and however I can add value to your viewers, that's what I'm looking for.
Heck yeah, man. We're super pumped. Well, for those that don't know you, man, just tell us a little bit more by yourself and how you got started.
Absolutely, yeah. So my name's AJ Smith. I am 23 years old. I bought my first property a month out of college, and since then I've gotten up to 14 units in about a year and a half.
14 units in a year and a half. So how did you end up buying your first property during school or right after school?
Yeah, it was kind of wild. So I spent 2 full years just getting ready. I analyzed 700 properties. I made contacts with brokers, lenders, a property manager, insurance agent. I just got everything ready before I left college so that when I found a property and I had my job locked in from after college, I could just go. And so, I put in 5 offers on 5 different properties. The first 4 got rejected. And real estate's a tough game. You got to be able to take rejection. You got to be able to, take it on the chin and keep going and keep making offers. But on that 5th offer, man, I locked it in. I got it for about 226,000, which for a fourplex in Iowa, that's a decent price. I know in other places that's really, really good. But yeah, I saw a deal that worked based on all my analyses before. I knew that the numbers worked and I just pulled the trigger.
So you ran deals 700, right? And I'm sure you were doing like a couple each day whenever you had time to go ahead and do it. Do you think that helped with your analysis paralysis because you've seen so many deals not pencil out?
100%. Yeah. And it helps a lot knowing your market. What I will say is that I started in one market, I moved to a second market, and finally I just settled on my hometown. Part of that was just my job. Thankfully, my job is flexible enough to allow me to work in a place where I know and where I grew up. So that was really great. But market knowledge coming from being able to analyze a certain number of deals in a single market, that gives you an idea of, okay, how many dollars per door should I be looking at? And what is my rent estimate per unit, per bedroom, whatever, that I'm looking at in this market? And when you have enough deals underneath your belt, that becomes second nature. That knowledge just becomes ingrained in you because I've looked at 50 deals in this specific neighborhood. I know that a 2-bedroom goes for 850. That specific type of local market knowledge is so helpful in making a decision extremely quickly, which is very, very important when you have a hot market like we had for the past couple years. It's starting to slow down a little bit. And with that, the strategies change, but just having the knowledge and the experience behind you through your network is key to breaking that analysis paralysis and finally landing that first deal.
Yeah, I tell people because I do a lot of strategy calls with new investors that are looking to house hack in SoCal. And their first question is like, what can I be doing right now? And they're not at the savings point they need to be. They're not, pre-qualified. Like the number one thing you can do to help yourself is do like 2 to 3 deals a day. And you just need to pick like a cluster and run 3 houses like side by side. I don't care about the price. I don't care about the bedroom makeup. Just run deals because you're going to pencil out really shitty deals and you're going to be like, oh, that's what a bad deal looks like. And then you're going to pencil out really good ones. And you'll be like, that's what a good deal looks like. Because I find a lot of new investors, they'll pencil out like 10 or 15 and the one they want to offer is good, but then they have doubt because they're like, did I do my numbers right? Is it really a good deal? Should I put in an offer? And then they're like freaking themselves out to the point where they're going to miss out on that deal.
100%. Yeah, it's time in the market, it's knowledge, it's experience. And I will say too, you have to financially be in a position where you're able to pull that trigger. If you have a ton of consumer debt behind you, if your income is not in a spot where you want it to be, in order to lock down a property, you got to get those 2 locked down too. So whenever I'm talking to my friends that are my age and they ask me like, hey, I really want to get into real estate, what should I start doing? I give them 3 specific things. And the first thing is decrease your expenses. And I did that a variety of ways in college. I was an RA for 3 years, so I got free room, free board. I didn't have any transportation at college because it was walkable. So my food, my housing was paid for. I really didn't have to pay for anything. I got a full ride, thankfully, just based on grades from high school. And so my tuition was paid for, all that kind of stuff. And that just allowed me to turbocharge my savings rate in college, which brings me to my second point, which is increase your income. And I did that through just focusing in terms of after college, what would bring the highest return. right? So what is the job that is going to give me the most straight out of college so I can plow that back into my savings, plow it into real estate investments, and eventually reach that financial freedom number. So I maximized my income coming out of college so that I can go after real estate as much as I can. And even while I was in college, I had a lot of side hustles, I had internships in the summer, of course. I sold plasma throughout the school year. I think by the time I graduated, I had like $4,000 that I saved just from selling plasma for 4 years, 4 summers, 4 school years, just selling plasma. And then I was flipping items too, from Facebook Marketplace. My parents let me sell some stuff from their house, which was really great. And I just pocketed that and used it to buy a house eventually. So that was nice. But yeah, side hustles to increase your income. Third point I want to bring up is just education. Making sure that you have the knowledge necessary to not only sound smart when you're talking to a realtor, when you're talking to a property manager, when you're talking especially to a lender because they're giving you money, but also to make sure not just sounding smart, your numbers make sense, your numbers are airtight, and when you take this deal to the bank and you say, hey, I've got this 4-plex, 3-plex, 2-plex, it brings in this amount of rent, they'll say, yeah, that deal makes sense because you have enough income coming in to cover your mortgage and any possible expenses that you might have.
AJ, you gave a really great breakdown, but I just can't let us just skip by this whole plasma piece. So did you just go online and start figuring out like how can I make more money during college and plasma came up? Like how in the heck did you start doing that?
Yeah, no, 100%. I looked up just a ton of different ways to make money in college. And I saw just like right down the street, probably 15-minute walk from my dorm was a plasma donation center. And it said right outside something like earn $500 a month. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So, yeah, I just walked in. The first couple donations, they give you a bonus because they want you to come back and establish the habit, the routine. And then it kind of dies down a little bit, but still, I can't sneeze at $500 a month. And I think that's a great way to start building that little nest egg, especially when you can leverage that through a low down payment owner occupied option from a bank. I mean, $500 can go far when you've got that multiplied by bank funds.
I mean, that's awesome. I really like what you said around the decrease expensive and increase income. Because really, if you look at the simple solution to wealth, it's spend less than you make and invest the difference. And you really try to amplify that. So you buy your property a month out of college, which pisses me off because, I'm like 7 years behind you. So damn it, AJ. However, it's never too late to start, folks. AJ's just starting way earlier than us, so he's going to be the next bearded Brandon, but instead he's going to be in a sick vest. So how did you educate yourself to get ready to pull the trigger? I mean, I imagine you just didn't wake up. You said 700 properties. Like, how did you go about analyzing deals? How did you learn about investing? What strategy did you pick? Walk us through that process.
100%. I mean, the biggest shout out has to go out to my brother, Alex. If you're listening, bro, love you. But he hooked me up with Bigger Pockets, and he just told me one day, we were talking about finances. I had taken a class in high school. I told him I was interested, and he said, hey, if you like Rich Dad Poor Dad, if you like, these kinds of books, you should listen to Bigger Pockets. It's all about just real estate investing and growing your wealth through that way. And I became hooked. I listened to all of the podcasts. I listened to, they've got 5 different podcasts now. I listen to all of them. Real Estate Rookie, the OG Show, Bigger Pockets Money, all that kind of stuff. I read all of the books, not all of them literally, but, some of the really important ones. House Hacking Strategies, one of my favorite ones, Craig Kurlop. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many different resources. The 203K Way, another really good one in terms of just analysis. He's got a great calculator that he offers that is how I started analyzing those 700 properties. I can't just come up with that calculator myself. At least I couldn't. Bigger Pockets had one, but I wanted to use something that I could use over and over again without having to pay for a monthly membership. And 203K Way had an excellent calculator. I adjusted it for my own needs for house hacking without like a 203K loan. But that was a great starting point, and that's how I got into the analysis portion, was just education, 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 bigger pockets, and then Instagram, which is kind of a weird thing to say, I guess, but you can learn a lot on Instagram if you just choose to follow the right people. And I think there are a lot of people, yourselves included, that give you great information on how to be successful in real estate or in finance or honestly, whatever you want. It's just a process of choosing who you want to follow and valuing your time in that way. So you're not wasting it doing other things, which may seem enjoyable, but in the long term don't give you a really good return on that time.
Yeah, AJ, one thing that I really like about your story, and I think what separates you from a lot of different people, it's you did a lot of analysis, you did a lot of reading, did a lot of self-education, and then you applied it. You did something with it, right? Because then you do have folks out there that are just constantly consuming content, reading all the books, doing the calculators, but they just don't want to go ahead and actually take the plunge and actually do the work. And at some point, it's like same thing, the concept we talked about before in the past with Nick. It's if you want to get healthy, you want to start working out, all right, go to the gym. Just by showing up at the gym doesn't mean that it's gonna happen. You got to start lifting those weights. You got to start doing the actual motions and getting into it. So props to you, man, for doing that.
One thing I will say too, I mean, with continuing with the gym analogy, even showing up to the gym, that's more than 90% of people are going to do. And when you control your environment in a certain way, you're already at the gym, the likelihood of you lifting those weights is going to go way up if you just make it there. And I'd say the same thing is true of analysis too. If you just have the spreadsheet open and you've got realtor.com open and you've got the Rentometer app or whatever you're using open, the probability that you're going to analyze some properties goes up. And so I think just controlling your environment in that way, and Instagram's a very similar thing, right? Controlling who you're following. I think that is extremely important in people getting out of that analysis paralysis phase is, just surrounding yourself with people who are action takers. That's one of the biggest things, is like having a community of people who they also believe this is a path to great wealth and they're taking action, and they're, whatever age you are or whatever identity you have, it's really nice to have other people that are similar to you or maybe have similar values, whatever, on your side that you can take as kind of role models and learn from them.
Have you ever read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, AJ?
I have. Yes. Excellent book. Yep. And I can see the connection you're drawing there. I love it.
Yeah. Like, if you make, in the book, he talks about a lot about habits for those the folks listening and haven't read it. It's like one of my favorite books in the world. I think it really changed my life because it was like the easiest digestible advice to like make little things better in my life, which turned into big things eventually. But he talks about creating a barrier-free process really with, your habits, making it really easy. So if you want to have a good habit, to AJ's point, like if you just show up to the gym, if you just have the Excel sheet open, you're a lot more likely to run your deals, you run your analysis, to work out. You're creating a really low barrier. And then you're going to find yourself doing that thing and then fulfilling your prophecy of being the real estate investor. Because what do real estate investors do? They run numbers on deals. So then you're getting so comfortable with that. And then you're getting so comfortable with your own mind of like, I'm going to be a real estate investor. You're already considering yourself one before you land your property. I think it removes a lot of that fear from purchasing or from putting the down payment in or from telling people you want to get into investing. And that's one of the things I found really powerful in that book was like, it creates this environment in your own mind that you can control going forward of like, I am this person. I do show up in this way every single day, which is super powerful.
I love that. I love that point. And just to like dive a little deeper into that. I forgot who this was. Maybe it was Tony Robbins, but someone was talking about be, do, have. Be, do, have. And a lot of people are stuck in the mindset of, for example, I want to be a millionaire. I want to have what millionaires have. But the second level of that is, well, in order to have what millionaires have, you have to do what millionaires do, which may be like investing in certain things, it may be whatever. But then the third level of that, which is actually getting to the core, is in order to have what millionaires have and do what millionaires do, you have to be the type of person who would be a millionaire. And that gets into habit formation. It gets into, just different ways in which you carry yourself to whatever goal. It doesn't have to be money. It could be happiness. I want to have happiness. Well, you got to be a happy person. I mean, so it's a really deep and interesting concept. And I think I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I think also a lot of people struggle with the do side of it because it's hard. Doing sucks, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I should go to the gym after this. Am I going to? We'll see if I can do it. Like, that's the aspect that's difficult. It's not easy. And like, I'll use you as AJ as like a really specific example. I'm sure it was not easy to tell your buddies in college while you're going to, Iowa, having a good time, living it up. Hey, I'm going to be a real estate investor. Hey, I don't want to go to this party. Hey, I can't go to this concert. Hey, I know I'm 21, but I can't go to the bars with all of you guys all the time and spend every waking dollar that I have because that's going to create this, lack of savings. And I see this vision. It's not easy. It's so much easier to be like, let me just put my goals and my ambitions on hold for the group that I'm with. And I often find that's where people fall short is because it's hard to do. And you went and did. And I think one of the rarest situations, because dude, I was in college. I spent money like water until like 25, 26, when I realized like, oh, damn, working at this level for the rest of my life is going to suck ass unless I can get it together and do something different. You had that vision early, but you probably had to stand up and say no to a lot more things that was way less socially acceptable than I did. No one bats an eye at a 25-year-old saying they want to save money to go buy a house. But I'm sure people were thinking, this 20-year-old doing it, that's weird. You know what I mean? And then you had to go through that social pariah thing, which is not easy. Because I know I've dealt with that at work too, where people are like, hey, you make all this money. I'll never forget. I was a senior at the building that I work at, right? My W-2. I get paid great money, AJ. Not going to lie to you, right? X gets paid great money. I bought a house in California to choose to live with roommates. And I remember my first conversation with a coworker. I was like, yeah, I got this house, blah, blah, it's in Redlands. Oh, we're right down the street from you. That's awesome. You should come check it out. And I was like, well, you can't because like I have roommates in it. And he's like, why do you live with roommates? I thought you said you bought the house. I was like, no, I did. But I'm renting it out, so I have to pay my mortgage. He's like, can't afford to pay your mortgage? I was like, well, no, I can't. But I don't want to pay my mortgage. And like, he just was looking at me like, hell's wrong with you, dude? Why are you doing this? Your wife cool with this? I was like, no, it was my wife's idea. So it was just like that weird, difficult, situation you have to work through.
Yeah, I would say socialization is such an interesting thing in terms of like you have a peer group and your peer group is probably doing one thing. And you're very, very likely going to do that thing as well, unless you have a clear goal and a clear focus. And I think, what was it? I think Brandon Turner brought up vivid vision or something like that. I don't know. But I wanted to bring that up in that having a very clear focus can help get rid of, I guess, other decisions that you might make. The other point that I wanted to make was like, you guys are talking about like, man, you're super young. I wish that I knew that at my age. The only reason why I have been able to go after these things is because of other people's experience. I read a lot, and the only reason why I knew like, hey, this is probably a good path to go down is because other people shared the knowledge of, hey, I worked 50 years and I wish I had started when I was 20 doing this thing. And just taking that knowledge and taking action on it. I mean, there's the I guess, quote, belief system. I don't know what it is, but it's like shoulders of giants, right? Like just understanding other people's experiences and what they wish they had done and taking that as something really valuable and learning from it. And I think that just taking other people's perspectives and taking action on what they wish they had done earlier is something that can propel anyone of any age forward. Because I think there's a lot of knowledge and wisdom to be gained from just people retrospectively looking back at their lives.
I completely agree. All right, so AJ, we know you bought your first house a month in. Give us a portfolio overview because you have a lot of doors, and I want to hear a lot about them.
Yeah, I've got three fourplexes and a duplex. One of those fourplexes is owned with partners. I just purchased it a couple, man, it's about a month ago now. Holy cow. Just purchased it though with two partners. We're going strong on that. Still doing some rehab to bump up the rents a bit. It's actually our first Section 8 property, my first Section 8 property as well. But diving into a new strategy there, and we're going to see some pretty good returns on that. But yeah, first house I bought owner occupied. Second house I bought as an investment property using a in-house portfolio loan from one of my lenders, 10% down. That first house was 0% down. And then my third house I bought was also 0% down from a portfolio loan. And then this last one was 20%, the fourplex, but I only ended up putting in, I think, about 9%, something like that, 8%, 9%, because of partners. And so that was able to drop my capital contribution. And that's one thing I do want to say, people talk about with real estate is, man, I would love to do that, but I don't have 200 grand to drop on a house. And I'm like, dude, me neither. I don't either. But if you figure out the concept of leverage, and if you understand the concept of good debt versus bad debt, then a whole host of options opens themselves to you in terms of financing real estate. So, someone who may not be educated in the difference between good debt and bad debt might think like, man, AJ, you've got all these mortgages. You are so indebted. I couldn't imagine being where you are. And I look at it and I'm like, man, I got this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, all paying those rents, except for like, I'm not, it's those people. So I'm not concerned about it. And plus I've got reserves in case there's vacancy. So it's like, if you understand the concept of good debt and you also give yourself a cushion, both in terms of your analysis, making sure that it's bringing in enough rent to pay for it, but also just in cash reserves in case someone leaves, then you're in a good spot and you can buy, going back to the concept of leverage, like if I can buy houses 0% down and I'm getting $100 a month on each of those houses, I will buy as many as possible. Like that's good debt all the way. That's my perspective, at least. Yeah.
So I got to ask, how were you able to find loans at 0% down, 10% down? Was it with just one bank? Like, how'd you build that relationship? Like, how'd you come across that?
100%. I found that bank through my realtor. So shout out to her, Lana. She's great. But she connected me with that lender, and definitely willing to share that lender at the end of the podcast too, if your team is interested, your listeners. But I got in contact with him. I've built a great relationship with him since then, and we just continue to take down deals. The way that I got 0% down, there's something called portfolio lending that banks do. And that just means they don't sell these loans off to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, government loans. They keep them in-house. And so they don't have to follow the same restrictions that these government loans follow. And they can be a little more flexible in terms of the loan amounts, in terms of loan to value. And that's what allows these banks then to give higher percentage debt loans in terms of loan to value. So that's how I got 0% down on those two houses and then 10% down on that investment fourplex.
Yeah, note on the portfolio loans for everybody listening, because they're going to call like 1,000 banks after this, I'm sure, try to get 0% down loans. The thing I would tell people, and AJ, I'm sure you did a really good job with this, you got to build credibility with that bank because those loans aren't being sold out and they're not going to pass them off as security. So they own that debt. It's debt that they said, all right, AJ, we know is a trusted investor and we can make sure he's going to hold himself accountable to paying back this debt. So they're not taking on subprime lenders. They're not going to build relationships with just anybody. So if you're looking to do something like that, and if you connect with AJ's lender, or if you find your own that offers something similar, work on building that relationship and then presenting yourself in a way that you can earn that credibility with them. Because I imagine, AJ, if you walked in, no presentation, not understanding your numbers, kind of half-assing your deal, those portfolio loans wouldn't have been available to you by any means.
100%. It's a relationship based business, and that goes to your lender. It goes to your realtor. My second house that I bought actually was an off market deal, and my realtor brought it to me because she knew, okay, AJ looks for brick fourplexes in this area of this make, and so as soon as she saw it, she was like, okay, I'll bring it to him, and I bought it because of that relationship. But it's a relationships based business, and like I said, it goes to your realtor, it goes to your lender, it goes to even your contractors. Now that I've operated in this space, in this particular location, I have a really good team that I've been able to work with a couple times. And I know these guys they do top-notch work, really good quality work, and their rates are really good because they know that, I pay on time. Sometimes I even pay with a premium if they do it quickly. And that just goes toward building that relationship and that credibility with them.
Yeah, and I think too, it's good to try to think outside the box when you're looking for different loan strategies or options. A lot of people get turned away when they hear about terms that they're not too familiar with, like balloon payments, or like, hey, you only have like a 5-year term on a loan. And I was able to build a relationship with a local bank there in Nashville, where when I was looking at cashing out refi my first property, I was able to do a cash out refi at 85% LTV at 3.5% interest rate, and there was going to be a balloon payment in 5 years. So I was like, okay, I get to bring and take out like almost 45 grand of my capital out. My mortgage goes up maybe $150, $200. And then in 5 years, I'm going to end up refining this out anyways. So why wouldn't I take that strategy? Right. But a lot of people get turned off of like, oh, that means I have to pay off the loan in 5 years. Well, you can go ahead and refi again. So there's a lot of different options out there, especially locally. You just got to get out there and just start asking the questions, to your point, build a relationship.
100%.
Is it time to move into the standard questions, X?
Let's go ahead and do it, man. All right, AJ. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with our standard questions, and stay tuned for Nick's random question there in the end. So, AJ, what's one piece of action a listener can take after listening to this podcast?
One piece of action I'd say people could take is, man, I'll give you a couple, because I really feel like these are the meat and potatoes of it. You want to decrease your expenses, you want to increase your income, and you want to invest the difference. And then when I say invest the difference, I truly, honestly believe the best way to start investing in real estate is house hacking. So either 5% down, 3.5% down, 0% down if you can swing it. You need a place to live, and with that place to live, you might as well try to make some money. And so I think the best way to get in a space where you can start doing that is, like I said, decrease your expenses. So house hacking is going to do that in and of itself. If you can get rid of your housing expense, that is the most expensive bill that most Americans will pay, is for housing. And if you can get someone else to pay for your housing, either through a roommate, through someone else just in a unit next door that you own, and just reduce that expense, your savings rate is going to skyrocket, first and foremost. Second, if you can get your transportation under control. If you have a brand new car, maybe rethinking that and buying used, and getting rid of that car note. That way you can save some of that cash. A lot of people are going to balk at that, and they're going to say like, man, I love this car, I don't want to get rid of it. Which, I mean, to each their own. If that's your priority, then definitely you can find some other ways, but that's going to be one of your second most expensive bill, probably, is if you have a brand new car with a car note. So looking at used cars, and then I will say Budget Bites is one of my favorite things. If you guys haven't heard of that, that is how you, I love to save money on food, and I love to eat delicious food at the same time. So budgetbites.com, they have some excellent recipes, and it's only like $1.79 per serving if you're making it yourself, which is pretty cheap. But decrease your expenses. As I said earlier, increase your income. You want to maximize your returns from your job. So that means either If you need to find a new job that pays better, do that. If you need to do some side hustles, do those. House hacking is going to increase your income too, like I mentioned. But the biggest thing between those two, again, is invest the difference. And investing the difference, I truly believe, is house hacking. And so taking that 3.5% down loan, finding a fourplex or a threeplex or a duplex that pays for the mortgage, either when you're there or when you leave, that is going to drastically not just improve your personal future, but potentially your family's future as well, as you do that year over year and you rack up a portfolio, over 5 years of 10, 20 units. That can have a massive outsized impact if you hold on to those for 30 years. I mean, just think about it. Like, think about 5 4-unit apartment complexes, each purchased at $250,000, depending on where you're at, right? Amortized over 30 years. You pay it off after 30 years, $250,000, that's $1.25 million of real estate that you'll have after 30 years with doing nothing. That's just someone else paying for it. Not to mention the cash flow that you get from that every single month, the depreciation expense that you'll be able to write off, the appreciation of it just going up in value, right? So there's just, house hacking is like a cheat code. And I'd say that if people can figure out how to do that in their specific situation, that is the one piece of actionable advice I'd take from this episode.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, everyone on the show knows, like, I'm the biggest proponent of house hacking in the entire world. I mean, I literally joined my real estate team because everyone has to house hack to get into there. So it's like super important for me. All right. So AJ, for question number 2, what would you say was something unique that your W-2 allowed you to do in terms of pursuing your financial goals?
100%. Yeah. I'm super grateful for my job to really allow me to finance these real estate dreams and aspirations. I mean, people overlook W-2s and they want to go straight into entrepreneurship. And that's good for some people, but a lot of people still need that structure and stability in order to go after something like this. And so, especially with my W-2, what has been really great is just being able to save that extra income, leverage it through bank financing, but also leverage other people's professional skills. I mean, like, I can DIY some stuff. I can put up a bathtub surround or like a backsplash or something like that, but it's not going to be as good as someone who does it professionally. And if I can leverage my job earnings to have someone else do that quickly and well and do that at scale, I'm going to do that 9 times out of 10, just because that's going to allow me to continue focusing on making money while those people are making me money by making my investment nicer in a quicker time frame than I could do it myself.
Awesome. All right, AJ, third question here. What's one thing you would have done differently in the past with your W-2 income?
I know I struggled on this one last time too. I honestly can't say that I do anything different just because I have had the fortune of being able to like hear from other people and understand what their struggles were and what they wish they would have changed. In terms of maybe what other folks my age, kind of my peer group might be doing at this point, that I would offer some advice if they were looking to get into this field, I guess, is you have to know how to make sacrifices, and you have to understand what your focus is and what your priorities are, and then understand what you have to cut out. Because there's a lot of stuff that is very tempting, especially at my age, being like a young single guy, there's a lot to do, especially if you live in a big city that just grabs your attention and wants to grab your wallet too. And you have to be really cognizant and really careful about what you're buying into, literally, in order to save the cash that's necessary to buy new things. So, for example, just to make it more concrete, like going out and partying every weekend, that's something I had to sacrifice. I will say I've never really been super into that, so it wasn't a huge sacrifice, but just the option of it, right? Like, I don't really do that, that enables me to like save drinking money and all that kind of stuff and put it towards renovations. In terms of just like super nice food, brand new car, all that kind of stuff, right? Like, I see that as something that folks are continually going after, I guess, and just finding ways to cut back on those things in order to increase that savings gap is a huge advantage in trying to build your portfolio.
Yeah, I think X and I maybe have wasted an investment property too at the bars when we used to live together in Virginia, unfortunately. So that's something we could have done so much better on.
Easily.
There was this one bar that had a mechanical bull, AJ, and I would pay X money in form of Bud Lights to get him to ride it. He was surprisingly good. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, eight was the magic number to get
Yeah.
you to write it.
Yeah.
Payment up front.
Should have bought him at home. All right, AJ, are you ready for my weird would you rather question?
Let's do it.
So this one, we're going to get personal, all right? Would you rather your best friend go to jail for a crime you committed for 5 years, or you go to jail for a crime they committed for 1 year?
I gotta take number two. I feel like I could not live with myself if someone else took the fall for me. That I couldn't do it. Plus, it's just a year. I mean, I'll go in the clink for a year.
You're so much better of a person than I. If my best friend Nick Field is listening, because he's like my number one, right? He's going to jail. All right. X is also a best friend of mine, right? I got Dave out there. Eric, y'all going to jail, sons. All right. Just like listen up right now. You're done. You're done.
Well, this is the awkward one where I'm like, okay, I think I would take a year for Nick, but you know what? Let me think about that now.
Oh, shit, I shouldn't have gone first. I should have gone first. Damn it.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to hear what my friends say.
Yeah, I'm too pretty to go to jail, X. That's the problem. All right, AJ. I mean, I know. So for the listeners, this is our second time running through it. We had a file corruption on AJ's interview on the first one, but luckily the lightning does strike twice. We were able to get, I think, a fantastic episode for you all here. AJ, where should people connect with you? And then let's drop that lender's name out there, man. Let's get some business going that way.
Of course. Yeah, you guys can find me at young_refi on Instagram. So that's YOUNG_REFI. On Instagram, I just post all sorts of different stuff. Sometimes it's just my day. Sometimes it's, stuff about my rehabs. It's about multifamily, which I'll get into a little bit more. I want to shout out a couple people too. But otherwise, yeah, in terms of that lender, get your pens ready because this guy is a rock star. So his name is Chris Spillum, ChrisSpillum. He works at Green State Credit Union. And typically that's an Iowa, Illinois firm, bank, credit union, whatever you want to call it. But Chris and his team are phenomenal. They're really excellent. And they've actually just announced recently, I've not told my friends still about this, but they are going all 50 states of the U.S. They're expanding their operations. So if you are in Georgia, if you're in Maine, if you're in Texas, Chris and his team are able to help you starting January 1st of next year. So I'm still honestly not sure if they've got their portfolio loans. I would encourage you guys to reach out to Chris ASAP to find out when those will start in all 50 states. If you're in Iowa, Illinois, I will tell you it's today. They have them as of January 1st. But Chris Spillum, so that's ChrisSpillum at greenstate.org. So that's Chris Spillum at greenstate.org. Otherwise, a couple folks and a group that I wanted to shout out to. I will say my goal for next year is to get into large multifamily apartment complexes, 16 units and above. And two of the people that have been really instrumental in me learning how to do that have been Jose Linares and Terrence Doyle. I'm currently part of the Value Tribe. They offer some really excellent content, very good mentoring and coaching in terms of, just underwriting, reaching out to brokers, reaching out to lenders, all those different things. So the Value Tribe, Terrence Doyle, Jose Linares, some awesome value being offered there. And if you guys mention my name when you are signing up, you can sign up through one of their Instagram pages, Claims to Fire or Terrence Doyle. If you mention my name as you're signing up, you guys can get 1 free month as part of the Value Tribe and just see what we're about and learn for yourselves about large multifamily real estate and how to get into it.
Yeah, if you guys haven't signed up for something like that, I suggest very heavily looking into that. A lot of masterminds don't provide any type of free options, especially ones that are bringing as much value as Jose and team have. I know we had him on the podcast earlier, and just like the knowledge that he gave us in that 1 hour was phenomenal. So I haven't met Terrence, but I know, it's just like anybody that they're working with is going to be fantastic. So please go look into that and hit up AJ, drop him a follow in the old IG. Check out some of the rehabs he's doing because he's posting some really interesting stuff. But AJ, thanks so much, man, for being on. We appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody. Bro, Joe needs to come back home. I'm worried about you.
Because tonight's gonna be annoying.
Your hair's all down in front of your face. Oh, so you want to talk about expenses?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right.
You ready?
All right, everybody. That was AJ Smith. I think we're going to give him a new nickname because he's like Mr. Smith from The Matrix, man. That guy is all over the place all at once. Super amazing. X, what are you walking away with, man? I'm just kind of blown away right now.
Yeah, the thing that I walked away the most for our listeners, he did not wait to have his W-2 to graduate college to buy his home. He started his sophomore year building relationships, talking to lenders, talking to realtors, essentially having those critical people around you that put him in a position to, once he graduated, he was able to close on his first property versus waiting for the opposite thing, right? So that was really cool to see. And things that for listeners to take away, right? It's something you don't have to wait for you to be in the position. Start having these conversations now. If you feel like you won't be able to buy your first house, second house in a year from now, it doesn't mean that you can go ahead and get that process started today.
Yeah. I just overall, AJ is a crazy inspiration. So if you guys can, go jump over to his Instagram page. He's committed to us. He's going to start posting more to share his journey because he's young and I think he can resonate with a lot of people because he's not doing anything super complicated, but he's confident. He knows his numbers and he executes on action. So I think those are things that are super impactful for him in the future as he keeps going. There's Evelyn. Just ruining the shot. Wow, dude.
I love when she just ducked.
Like that was going to stop what was happening from happening.
Oh,
Get the studio out. I'm going to lock her in the closet. And for the listeners, that I'm sure this will be a blooper, but I'm waving at her on the intro because she's eating chips. She's just like ASMR chip eating over here.
ASMR. Oh. You want to take it from the top, or? And that's today's episode, guys.
Fuck it. No, I'm good. No, I'm good. I can start back again. I'll just cut. We'll cut it from when you stop, and I'll start again.
Do you hear that?
A little bit. Was that Cleo shaking?
That was Cleo. That's on her lips, bro.
Oh, Jesus.
It's just hanging.
Girl's got some beef curtains.
She does.
It's our fault, bro. She's a pit bull. That thing's hang. Yeah, girl's got some beef right, bro.
Holy shit. All right. We need to I gotta feed her.
This is cool.
Come on, let me just give me a second so I'm fucking crying in the
Wipe
outro.
tears from your face.
Wiping tears because I'm so old.
Yeah, bro, Joe's got to come back. I'm going to text him and be like, Joe, I unblocked you just to say hi and also go check on X.
He's crying on the podcast.
He's crying on the podcast. We're talking about your dog's beef curtains. Someone said no. Bro, she would be so, she'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're talking about my sweet baby's beef curtains? What is wrong with you?
Forever unclean. Oh, okay.
Dirty girl. Okay. All right.
Okay. Who fucking chopped onions up in here?
I know, right? Okay, ready?
Yeah. So where you want to start from the top? Like, where are you going to start from?
I'm gonna start with he's not really doing anything too complicated.
Do it. No, I'm going to argue.
Yeah, I think the thing that's super impressive is he's not doing anything complicated, but he's really confident. He is taking action and he's executing on that action, and he knows his numbers. I mean, that seems to be the thing he falls back on. I'm not surprised he has a background in accounting because he is a numbers guy and he is executing based on what he sees in the numbers, and he's doing really well. So I think all in all, he's going to be a really good follow and a really good person to track because you might be able to get into his circle now and see how you can add value to him as he continues to scale and grow. But it was overall, I mean, a 10 out of 10 episodes today with AJ.
Yeah. I also love that he dropped his lender information for all you guys to listen. So you want to hit up Chris, you know, you'll have his info. They're going to be expanding to 50 states. It's really cool. I'll be hitting up for sure sometime soon.
Yeah, I get the vibe too from AJ because he asked us after we were done recording, like, what can I do to help support the podcast? And like, that was just really, really kind of him to do. And I think he's someone that is not just in it to make a bunch of money. That might be a benefit, but he really genuinely wants to help other people, including his friends and family and people he just met on the internet today, like me. So just a really great guy and a great listen. So guys, if you want to hear more from the W2 Amigos podcast and you want us to reach a broader audience, please share with a friend. Maybe share with your parents, maybe share with a sister or brother, anybody you would like to hear some of this content. It really helps us grow, and leave an honest review if you can. We prefer 5 stars, but I'm just saying anything helps, make sure that we're getting our name out there a little bit. But we are the W2 Amigos at Instagram, we're at TikTok, at YouTube. We're super interactive there. So please reach out to us. I am the Five Family on Instagram and TikTok, and hit me up if you need any help finding an investment property via the Fi team. What about you, X?
Xavier Marin _ at Instagram and TikTok. And if it's not going to be a 5-star review, just sit tight. Send us a DM instead of why it isn't, and then we'll get it straightened out there for you.
Exactly. All right, guys. We'll see you soon.